Bye, Jessica said. I hope that was to a child because that's what I say too. Okay, I just hit record. Now I have to hit present and then share a screen. Megan's really good at this, right? Maybe. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, guys. My computer is like the worst. Hashtag goals, Apple computer, you guys. Okay. Okay. Sharing screen. Let's see. Okay, so definitely put your questions in the chat. Talking about inviting always has people asking questions, always. Like, I know you have a million, it's totally okay. Hopefully I will answer them in this whole shindig, but if you have a specific question, and at the end I'll just try to read through the chat. Will it get big? Okay, so really fast, my name is Samantha Rosenthal. I don't know if I've introduced myself. I did do a team call last week on Team Forward Fitness, so I guess you might have heard a lot of my story if you were on that team call. But if you weren't, the fast version is, my name is Samantha. I am a mama of 3. I was a special education teacher. Now I am a full-time coach. My husband works for Hyatt Hotels, and so kind of part of my, I don't know, brand, I guess, is that we move a lot. It's just kind of how the cookie crumbles. And so we moved 3 times in 3 years and added 3 kids. So it's been a busy little bit, but we've been here now for 2 years, so we're semi settled, we can say. 2 years feels like we've been here for like 17. But that's kind of my, the fast version. I have been a coach for 5 years, but I really wouldn't say that I was actively really building or got a vision or anything like that until I went to Summit 3 years ago. But then January 2018 is when I really made the decision that I did not have a plan B, that this was my plan A, and I needed to just hustle through the struggle. Nobody gets to skip the struggle, you guys. Like, you just don't. I wish I could tell you like, oh, this is how you skip it, but I can't. Okay, let's see. I guess I can't see the chat. So at the end, I will scan the chat. So please put your questions as we get going. But inviting is definitely, now it's, I wouldn't say it's like a massive strength, but I get the job done. We can say it like that, okay? I get the job done, but I was not a very strong inviter for years, you guys, years. Like, not days or months or a season. For years, I was a really bad inviter. So if you're sitting here, I always think of myself. I used to get on these calls and be like, okay, she's going to tell me the secret and I am going to know what to do with my invites and I'm going to feel confident. You guys, you totally already know what to do. It's just hard, okay? It just is. And it's not hard because it's difficult or complicated. We just put so much emotion behind inviting, and then we make it this whole thing, and it really is supposed to be fun and be life-changing, because you cannot grow a business if you're not inviting. Okay, like, period, point blank. You have a beautiful hobby that you're posting on social, and that's great, but unless you're inviting, you're not building a business. But there are parts to that, right? I was a coach who naturally shared on social media. Like, that was an easy one for me. Like, I didn't have like a what's that, like when you like paralyzed by writing a post? Like, no, I just threw those up there. I love to show my posts from like 4 to 5 years ago in my team page of how awful they were. Guys, awful. But it doesn't matter. I just did it and I didn't really care. I just shared what I was doing, but I wasn't doing anything on the back end. And I shouldn't say nothing, because I was, but I wasn't doing anything consistent. And then I was being really inconsistent with the actions individually, such as like adding new followers or you know, following up or invites, and then that resulted in me not making Success Club consecutively. So that's kind of your evidence of, am I doing my business building activities consistently? The answer is yes, if you're making Success Club consistently. That's how you know. So if the answer is no, that's okay. Now you have a goal. That your goal is to be getting consistent as possible with the 4 parts of inviting that I'm going to talk about. But I did just want to say that hold on, how do I this button maybe? Yeah. Okay, so I just want to show these 2 images really fast, and I want you to think of them like your coaching business. It's really easy to look at somebody's storefront, their social media, and make assumptions about their business. It's super easy to do that. Like, oh, well, whatever our own insecurities is we see in other people as strengths or whatever. Like, just like a really easy body image one is like, oh, well, she has abs, so she probably has millions of people messaging her, or, you know, this or that or whatever. She has a nice house, or like she has great lighting, so she probably, for whatever we put in our own head. But when you look at somebody's social media and you're trying to make assumptions about their business, please remember that there's the huge iceberg underneath of what they're doing. So if someone is hitting massive numbers in Success Club or rank advancing or income or whatever that thing that you're looking at, know to get that result, they're doing massive action underneath. Massive action. Not one coach just shows up and posts and is like, who wants to join my thing? And all these people flock to them. If you see, like, you know how a lot of times with call to actions we say like, drop an emoji if you want the deets. If you see emojis dropping and it's not their teammates, that is representation of probably hundreds of messages they're sending on the back end. Okay, so whether that's connection messages, hi, how are you messages, follow-up messages, invite messages, all of those things for somebody to say, okay, I'm going to drop an emoji. So I just want to remind you that that's that. Also on social media, Cannon, you okay? Sometimes people can like look like a duck swimming on a pond, cool, calm, and collected, just gliding over the water. But underneath, their feet are hustling. Their feet are hustling. They're paddling, 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 paddling. So your social media is important, right? Put your, you know, take a good picture with your lighting and your filter or whatever. Share your message. But then behind the scenes, you got to hustle. Really, like you just have to. I don't have like a good like tagline. Like you just have to. Okay. Oh no. Okay, so the 4 steps to inviting. Now, I'm not going to give you scripts. I'm going to give you tips. I used to give my coaches scripts and I would be like, this is what you say. But every single person is different. And please remember that this is a people business. And so how you would talk to a human is how you need to do this process, how you need to send messages. But ultimately, we follow new people, we connect, we invite, we follow up. Rinse and repeat. Now, I also had this like really funny thing. If you're a Friends fan, you know, when Monica is, you know, the 7 episode when she's like a 3, 4, 7, a 1, 2, whatever. Please tell me, anybody, like nod. I only can see a few of you, so lots of pressure on the people who like Friends. Okay, so this is where it's, or like, it's not in a perfect circle all the time, right? You're gonna go from new follow to connect and engage, to invite, to follow up, to back to connect, to another invite, to another follow up, to connect, to connect, to connect, to connect, to them ignoring you, to inviting again, to following up. Like, so think of it like that, like a 3, 4, 5. There is no correct process. And then you're like, 7, they're in your challenge group. It's amazing. They buy. But it's a whole thing. It's not just like this beautiful step 1, step 2, step 3, and you've made a sale. Every single person is different. On the other end of your phone is a human who's going through things we don't know about, or prioritizing other things above others, having their own reservations. And so the center of this circle graph thing that I just make things up, you guys, is constantly you have the social proof and the public reminders that, hey, I'm still running fit camps. Hey, I'm still running boot camps. I'm still doing this. I'm still hustling. And they're just kind of making a mental note that, great, that's there. So this call is not about social, but you need to be, being proof the products work. But then this is your business building activities. These 4 things right here: making graphics for your team. I guess you could say checking into your challenge group. I would say yes, that's a business building activity. However, I want you to be doing these 4 things, okay? These 4 things is it. So if you're not touching these 4 things consistently each week on your tracker, you're gonna have a flat tire wherever you're skipping. Whether you're skipping invites, that's a flat tire. The tire can't roll, or following up, or new follows, or engaged. So I'm gonna kind of go through them and give you tips. And I'm going to tell you what I say, what maybe some of my coaches say, what I've heard, but ultimately you have to just do what works for you. So new follows. You have to just go out and follow a bunch of people every single day, because as you are social proof and public reminders, right? That's consistent. You're telling your story, you're sharing your why, you're sharing your vision, what you're doing, how you're hustling, what you're blah, blah, blah. You need new people to start tapping into that story. Because let's say in a beautiful, wonderful Tuesday tomorrow that every single one of your follows buys a challenge pack. Awesome, right? Like, wouldn't that be the most amazing thing ever? Okay, that's great. But then in August, you have nobody to invite. You have nobody to invite. If every single person disappeared or bought a challenge pack, or great, you constantly need new people to talk to. And sometimes leaving people alone for a little bit because you're busy with other people makes them feel a little jelly. They're like, where is my girl? Usually she checks in once a month or whatever. But as you, hey guys, as you start to grow and you're putting more and more people in your funnel, that's like what I call my list. You're not going to be able to maybe touch every single follower, every single person on your list every single month, and that's okay. Because sometimes absence makes the heart grow fonder. And then like in 2 months or 3 months, you can be like, girl, how are you? How is Disney or whatever? But you need new people to be engaging with, new people to help. So new follows. Pick an account with a lot of followers that you, outside of health and fitness, totally like to look at. You like their content, you like their pictures. Carter, Kimmy, Kimmy. You just like it for whatever reason that makes you you. So if that's like toddler activities or Disneyland, like people who are like super into Disneyland, or home decor, or knitting, I don't know, but with a huge follower, crafting, or whatever just floats your boat outside of health and fitness, unless like maybe you came in like your passion was health and fitness. Mine was not. I am not the most healthy. Like, I am with the products we have, but like it's not a strong suit. I have no idea how to make you like a healthy meal without the recipes that are provided to me through Beachbody. Hey, where's your milk? And I should also mention in the story in the beginning that my husband is not home. So we're just flying solo. Yeah. Yeah, it's the milk. Can you get it? Mm-hmm. So when you go and you find an inspo account, like an inspiration account that you just love, go through the followers and follow people that you would either want to go to happy hour with or want to do a play day with. Like, you need them to be your people, because ultimately the best situation or goal would be that this person ends up joining your team and you're going to be on team calls with them, success club trips, top trend trips, like whatever your massive goals in this business are. And so you need to like them. At the same time, as you follow new people, only like 25% follow me back. So I don't know about the numbers for other people. And some days it's like 5 to 10%. So that's okay. So, but at the same time, your return in investment in this, 10, 15 minutes that you're spending, 20 minutes, whatever, you can't fall in love with these people. Like, don't start daydreaming about them. Just hit the follow button and move on. So you need to be following a lot of people, because if you set your timer for whatever you set your timer for, let's say 20 minutes, and you only follow like 5 people, some of them, you might get 0 followers back and you essentially just wasted 20 minutes, probably like over analyzing and over scrolling and like really digging in. The only requirements for me to follow you or not follow you is that I click you. I don't want you to be private because I want to like actually know that you're kind of my person. And really I don't want to say the bar is low, but like, do you have kiddos, or are you a teacher? Or maybe you're San Diego, like that's kind of the stuff that you post, like beachy, or kind of West Coast. Like I like people who are in Arizona because that's where I lived for a long time. That kind of vibe, then I just hit follow and move on. And so I'm like kind of trying to beat the clock of how many people I can do as fast as possible. Now, sometimes people do 5, 3, 1, and I don't know if anyone's heard of this following method before, but it's like you like 5 photos, you comment on 3, and then you hit follow. That is good too. Just make sure it's fast. This isn't supposed to be like, this can't take long because you're gonna like burn out on energy before you're even talking to the people who are actually following you. So you just got to be doing that consistently. If you have questions, you can put it in the chat, but really you just have to do it. It's just really important that that is part of your daily thing. And then on your Success Club tracker, on the bottom where it says number of new followers, like that's like your personal challenge of like, how many can I get? How many new people can I get? And that's a really, I don't want to say easy challenge, but like you're not trying to sell people a challenge pack. You're just trying to get people back into your thing. So how many can you follow so that 25% follow you back on a good day? Okay, then the next part of the funnel to invite is that you need to connect, engage, and build relationships. So again, this is going to be personal to you. Like we're going to post a recording next week of Lauren, who ran the Diamond internship with us last group, I don't know, April or something. And she's like, I would be so weirded out if someone sent me like a hey girl message. But I wouldn't be. And like Brenna, who's a leader here, I know that she's like, that's not really her jam. So you have to do what makes sense for you. So whether that's sending like something that's like, oh my gosh, I just saw your post, or whatever, you just have to find a way that makes it you. Obviously, ideally, right, if they have an Instagram story going, that's like the best way because they're kind of putting themselves out there with the Instagram story. And if you could comment on that with a question, that's like ideal for me. That's like, whew, what a good day. Like I have a bunch of stories to go through. And engage with people constantly. So I will open up who's watching my Instagram stories and I'll scan down to who has stories up and I'll go through those. I'll also pull up my Instagram stories, and like when you see all the the little circles at the top, I do like a big like Vegas pull for the spin, and I just make it scroll all the way down so that I'm not like, I don't want to engage lovingly with my coaches or with the people on the team, and they're always the people who are at the top. I don't have time to watch every single person's stories, or like, like my best friends in there, and like my aunt, my sister-in-law, like they're all at the top. That's not, you are already my people. So I'm scrolling far and then I'm just going and I'm just watching Instagram stories and I'm just commenting. I also work from a list, but I kind of just switch it up every day. Then I go to my list of people, my long-term follow-ups, right, of people who I've been talking to for forever. And I just go in and I just go down my list of, hey, how are you doing? Hey, how's your trip to Disney? Or hey, how is having the kids home for 1 million years? Or how are you holding up? During this pandemic, I have sent so many messages to everybody and anybody that have just been like, hey, I just wanted to see how you're doing. I know the world is really heavy right now. I want to see how you're holding up. Copy paste to everybody, to everybody, to everybody. And I just keep saying to everybody because people want to be seen. We talk to a lot of people every day, our coaches, our challengers. We have a lot of communication. And that's really the wonderful thing about coaching is the community. To me, it's like one of like the tippity top things. But not everybody has that. So a lot of times people are alone. And, my tribe are mamas of young babies, and that's incredibly isolating sometimes. And so for just to get a message that's like, hey, 2020 sucks, right? Question mark. Maybe that'll make them smile, or like, engage back with me or whatever. And then if they don't, that's totally fine too, because I'm literally just going through my list. I don't have expectations from these new follows or from these relationship building. I'm just doing my job. This is my job. These are the tasks I have for my job. Just like if I was a teacher, I would have to teach writing, reading, and math and social studies. Boom, here are my 4 subjects. I have to get them done every day. Okay, nothing. Oh, sorry. Olaf is screaming. This is the part in Frozen, so he's screaming. It has to happen. Okay, then invite. So keep it super simple, okay? Keep it super simple to me. There is a great training, and I'm not going to try to repeat it, but if you look up Keisha Fitzgerald inviting Bumble on YouTube, she does a really great job of explaining how like inviting is the new Bumble, and you need to just like take it really slow and don't word vomit on them. Like, it's really cute and really funny and really effective. Keisha's great. We all know that. But I just say, so I go to who's watching my stories, who is following me or talking to me, who's liking my posts, and then I go to my list and I just pick one of those areas a day and I just go down and I say, hey, I'm not sure if you've seen my stories, but I host health and fitness. I say something like health and fitness accountability groups. I didn't know if you wanted the deets, ? I'd love to have you. Like, I don't overcomplicate it at all. Because if they want the deets, and then I start that kind of breadcrumbing of information of seeing what their goals are. At the same time, also, you guys, you have to be inviting to coaching privately in your DMs every single day. I'm going to repeat it again. You need to be inviting to coaching every single day. And I say, hey, I just think you're so awesome. We've been talking, blah, blah, blah. Not even blah, blah, blah. Like, there's a lot there. I just mean like, oh, I love talking about Disney or whatever. And then I just say, have you ever thought about coaching like I do? 99% of the time people say no. But my job here is to plant the seed so that later when they are open to that, for whatever reason their brain is like thinking about that, or I post something about my story that for whatever reason makes their ears and their eyes perk up, that they already have had an invite from me about coaching in the back of their mind. Most of the time, my people come in as challengers first, but that's okay. I've already planted the seeds with them maybe months or years ago that they would be great at this. So then when they come through and then fall in love with the products, I'm like, well, girl, why aren't you doing this with me? I invited you like in 2017. And they're like, yeah, I know. So anyways, invite. Like, I know I said that like super simple, but really like that's what it is, you guys. Like, super simple. And then write their name down. In all of these, I don't write down my new followers. I do update the date in my list with engagements if I'm working from my list. If I'm just going through my stories, I'm kind of just organically talking to people. Unless like, sometimes when you like, someone likes your comment or you see a post and you're like, oh my gosh, Susie Q, I love that girl, and like I haven't talked to her in 6 months, and you like want to remember, then I'll write her name down, be like, oh my gosh, don't forget about Susie, like we were totally vibing in DMs and I forgot about her, because it happens. But most of the time when I send an invite and someone says, or I will write down everyone's name that I invite, either, I always do it on notebook paper because I'm just way faster. And then if they say, yes, I want information, I then transfer them into an electronic spreadsheet. And so then if I'm ever working through my list to engage with people, I open up that spreadsheet and I just update the date. So I'll just say, hey, I sent, like, my last contact with them was, 7/13, 2020, and I just go down. And then follow up. Now, follow up is multiple things, right? If you send an invite and somebody does not answer you, I follow up. Hey, girl, I'm not sure if you got my last message. #MomLife. I always open and shut messages, but I would love to have you in a fit camp anytime. So I kind of leave it like they can say, oh, I'm not interested, but I'm also being super friendly so that it's not awkward. And I just don't want to, I don't ever want to go back to a conversation and have sent an invite and then nothing after. Do I remember to go back to every single person who ghosts me? No, but it's my goal to go back and be like, hey, did you get my message? Then sometimes I'm following up with people who said they did want information, and I maybe sent them the sample workout to MBF or the little teaser video to MBF, or they said, yes, I'm interested. And then I said, tell me about your health and fitness goals. Like, I want to make sure this is a good fit for you. I want to go back and make sure that I answered those or that they answered me. Once somebody says yes, even if then they ghost me, like, you are in my list. You are in my funnel and I'm coming back. What are those health and fitness goals, girl? Like, let's talk about it, even if it takes months to get through a conversation. And then also another follow-up are people who said you get through the whole conversation with them, right? Like, yes, I'm interested. You talk about pricing and they're just like, okay, I can't do it this month, but I'm going to do it in the future. Then I'm constantly going back to those people and are like, hey, I know that, April wasn't a great time. I know everything going on, but I just opened enrollment for my new test group and I would so love to have you. I do think it's a good time right now. Always ending with a question and just constantly engaging. So then here are the 4 steps. And then we're just doing those every single day and you're going to find your own groove. Maybe that's pen and paper, maybe that's electronic, maybe that's always going from your new followers and then you type in like the letter A and then you type in the letter B and you just go down everybody. But whatever works for you, you just want to be in people's DMs constantly. Your goal is to wake up in the morning with messages, not necessarily like 100, like, yes, I want to do this or that. You want to have a good balance. When you open up your inbox, it's important to have a balance of people answering your, hey, how are you messages, or when you're like laughing at their hilarious, like toddler fail Instagram story, they're commenting back. And then people who are answering your invite. And then there are people who are asking for more information. Like, you want a good balance. And whether that's a good balance for the week or a good balance every day, like, you are going to have to break up your business how you see fit. I will tell you that some days I get kind of lost and I do a bunch of invites. Then that will then result in later needing to do a bunch of engagement or follow-ups or something like that. I've had probably 5 perfect tracker days my entire business, and I feel like I'm doing pretty good. So it's not about being perfect every day. It's about showing up in these 4 areas consistently at the end of the week too. So if you are the kind of person who's working in the cracks of your day, or things are very unpredictable. My life is very unpredictable. Like, my husband, when he is home, his days off change every single week. The hours change. Everything is inconsistent. My entire life is just one big S show. And that's okay, because I just look and I know, okay, I know I'm having conversations. I know I'm sending invites. Like, how am I feeling right now? And you need to feel out your business. But if you feel like you have no one to invite, then it's because you're not sending enough building relationships, connections, messages, or you're not following enough people. So you need to pivot. You need to slide the scale, as Rachel Hollis would say, and focus where you need to focus. If you're sending a crap ton of invites, but you're not selling a lot of challenge packs, or you're not having a lot of good conversations, I would probably say that you're not building enough relationships before you send the invite. And then if you're not selling enough challenge packs, it's probably because you're not doing enough follow-up. Like, 99% of my challengers, coaches, everybody, I've invited for 6 months to a year. So I'm getting 99% of my sales from follow-ups of invites of previous months. So as you sit here and kind of reflect on where you're at today, in a diamond push group where we're coming close to the end of it, and we're about mid-month, we have a launch going on. Are you happy with your Success Club numbers? Are you happy with the inbox, the messages in your inbox? And just take a second to just self-evaluate. Like, I believe that you just have to be in tune with your business and say, what does my business need right now? And then be okay to shift focus and do a crap ton of whatever you need. So as you're reflecting, if you're like, I just feel like I need to send a bunch of relationship messages, then girl, you have permission to do that. Put on some good tunes and just go ham and say, how are you doing, to as many people as possible, and get going on some combos. Put on Vampire Diaries and just talk to people. If you're like, no, I'm really good at talking to people pretty consistently, but I'm not where I need to be SC Club wise, SC Club, Success Club wise, then you need to pivot and go hard in your invites and follow-ups. Only you know that answer, and if you're tracking your business really well, you could show your coach and they could help you. But I do believe a lot of times we already know, like in our hearts, like where we're at and what we need to do, even if things are super great, right? Like I'm pretty happy. I'm sitting at SC14 on the 13th of the month. Like this is a pretty good month for me. But I can still be like, okay, I still have 2 weeks left of the month. So what am I going to do to get the best results? And I already know my answer because I'm just constantly shifting in my belly. Okay. So hopefully that was kind of helpful. How do I change this? Okay. So I'm going to give you tips, not scripts, like I already said, but that says steak. It's supposed to say streak. So if you take a picture, edit that. So here are my tips. Work from a list. So whether that's a spreadsheet, like just open up a Google Doc. That's what I did when I worked. That worked the most efficiently for me because I could pull up my like Google Drive on my phone, on my work computer, and my home computer. And I literally just had 3 columns. It was like name, date, and like notes or whatever. And so I would just go top to bottom, and I'd pick a spot in the middle of my list and I would just go through, how are you doing? Or I'd open the messenger, or I'd open the message. This was like Facebook days. And maybe we had already talked about like casual stuff enough. Eventually you just have to send the invite, you guys, because it doesn't really ever come up for me. My people are not like fitnessy people. And so it's not usually like coming up of like, oh, you have like such great health and fitness tips. In my DMs, we're mostly laughing at our kids. That's the conversations I'm having, or talking about like school closures and that kind of stuff. So you just have to send the invite. That's my take. You can't wait all the time for people to come to you if you have goals. You just have to ask them, because it's always going to be a no until you ask. But if pen and paper works best for you, you just circle and highlight till your heart is exploding, if that's working for you. Sticky note, spreadsheet, whatever. I kind of do a combo of all of those things. A streak is really great, but it does take time to learn. So don't get discouraged. Just know, like, okay, I'm going to like work on my streak a little bit every month, and then it gets easier. Make it fun. So whatever, like, I don't know if you guys know Enneagrams, but whatever your Enneagram is, like if you like a challenge or if you need to make it fun with music, like I like to put on like upbeat music, rap music, 90s hip hop, like that's my jam, and just to go really hard without thinking. Because if I let myself think too much, then I stop. I think all the emotional things that for whatever reason I do. We did something with, in the Diamond internship, like my girls, I put a challenge to them to set a timer for 25 minutes and see how many just connection messages they could send today. Because when we did our call last night, they were just saying like, oh, I just feel like I need to connect with people. It's like, if you feel like you need to connect and love on people, you have full permission to do that, because that's the most amazing part of our job. So do it. Alarms and timers, and then like mini challenges. I got that from Keisha too, where she used to put up in her team page like set a timer for 22 minutes and see if you can get 11 invites done, like just something fun like that, for whatever. And use your success partner or people who are in this group, like be like, hey, let's set a timer and see how many we can get, and just a fun challenge. It really doesn't matter. So then my next tip is to pick 3 inspo accounts, and then those are where you're going to try to find your followers. searching hashtags is hard for me because I'm not really good at that, you guys. And I know that's a really successful way for a lot of coaches. And I know there's great training on Beachbody Champions, but I feel like all my hashtags are just other Beachbody coaches. So instead of wasting time sifting through the mom of three hashtag, I just go to an account that I love and I just scroll for moms. So if in their profile picture they have them, them with a baby, or them and they kind of look around my age of, 30-ish, then I hit follow and I just move on and I just try to do as many as I can when I'm doing that activity. Eat that frog. So what do you avoid the most in your business building activities, whether that's followers, engagement messages, invites, or follow-up? And you need to do that first. You just need to just do it, because as humans, and especially as women who are coaches, because we just want to help people, right? And then we get in our head and we're like, oh, but my kid needs me, or I should probably do the dishes, or I should probably clean out under my car. Like something totally random will distract you intentionally, because you're avoiding, because that the way to build this business is through inviting, and whatever you're feeling resistance on one of those activities, I don't know why we do it, but when we're scared or when we're fearful of things, then we just avoid it and then it just gets bigger. So you just have to eat the frog. The first thing you do, like drink your mom crack before you do workout. And while the tingles are clicking in or setting in, like put on some, whatever just gets you tapping your foot, and try to send as many messages as you possible in that category, whether that's invites, follow-ups, connection messages. Just try to eat your frog first thing in the morning. Like that's my biggest tip, even to myself, that I have to tell myself almost every day. Just like, do this, Sam, whatever is I'm avoiding. KISS, keep it super simple, or keep it simple, sister, whichever one you want to do. So when I invite, or when I send a message, or when I'm telling somebody about my groups, I try to keep it super short and simple. That's kind of goes into that Bumble training, but like if you're feeding somebody a sandwich, you're not going to shove the entire sandwich in their mouth at one time. You're going to feed it to them one bite at a time. So, hey, are you interested? It's kind of like, okay, this is the analogy I was going to say. I'm like all about analogies. Okay, so my uncle, my uncles are kind of like my brothers. And so they all have like little kids. They're just a little bit older than my kids. And when my cousin Bowen, he's like 8, when he like asked where babies came from, I was there and I was like, and I was like, oh my God. And he was like, they come from mommy's tummy. And he was like, oh, okay. And like that answer, like, was good. You don't want to like go into the whole thing when they just ask, like, so just keep it simple. Like when they're like, well, what is it? Just tell them, oh, cool, we do these at-home workout programs, and we stay accountable to each other in a virtual accountability group on an app, that the same place where you stream your workouts. Like keep it super simple and just like one bite size at a time. That's a really good training. You should watch it, the Bumble one. I'm not doing it justice. And then perspective. So if you ever need to really like check yourself, it's so easy to forget where we used to be. It is so easy for me to forget that 5 years ago, I was going to the GI specialist because I was having so much pain in my stomach that I couldn't get off the bathroom floor. But then when someone's like, well, Shakeology is kind of expensive, if I'm not like with my mindset, I'm like, well, maybe, I'm sorry. Not so much now, but before I definitely would cower with Shakeology objections. But when I have my perspective right, girl, I can't, and Megan, a rock star on our team, said this, you can't afford not to have this. She did a Shakeology training a while ago, and it was like, you can't afford not to have this. And once you remember where you came from, whether that's your coaching story, whether that's your, a story about the community, where you were, like if you felt lonely or felt isolated as a mama, or if you felt unfulfilled in your job, or if you felt really unhealthy, or if you did have a weight loss transformation or anything like that, don't forget where you came from. And if the person did not invite you and give you this gift, where would you be? Like, seriously, where would you be? And so honestly, it's incredibly selfish for you not to invite them. It's incredibly selfish for you not to invite them. And sometimes we like to tell ourselves, well, what if I can't help them? I'm sorry. Have you been on the Beachbody Champions page? Have you been in our team calls? Like, between all of us, we have any answer anybody could possibly come up with. And if not, Google is a great thing. So stop making yourself feel small because you think you're not going to be able to help somebody. You owe it to them to hand them the tools and all of the things that they need if they need it. If somebody did not offer this business to me, I don't even know where I would be. Like, in every single aspect of my life, like, you know, everything. Any category of life, I don't know where I would be. And then everybody needs this. So sometimes I would like go to invite somebody and I would like already decide kind of why they needed it, and not like as a, judge a book by its outside cover, but maybe I knew them and I like knew that like they were struggling with credit card debt, or if they were struggling with this, or maybe I saw a post and they were saying that they were trying to lose weight, and I would like already decide why they needed it, when most of the time they need it for reasons we don't know. We have no idea what someone else is happening on the other end of that phone or the computer. And so we just have to invite everybody. And maybe the reason that we think they need it is totally not on the top of their priority list. And they're like, this is why I need it, or, X, Y, and Z. And so it's just our responsibility to invite everybody. So we control what we can control. And you can't make somebody buy a challenge pack. You can't make somebody come in and, like, how many times have you even sold a challenge pack and then somebody doesn't even open the Shakeology? Okay, like we can't control that, but we can control the actions that we take. And those 4 steps of inviting, you are in complete control. You are in control of how many messages you send when you slide into somebody's DM. It's their choice if they want to answer you. But your goals and your vision literally come down to if you're willing to do this and how consistent you're willing to be with those 4 things. So let me check the chat. Hold on. I don't know why he's crying about it. Where's the chat? Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm going to start at the top. I have a new podcast. No sleep till Brooklyn. Yes. Yes. Okay, people loving it. I love the feedback. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Hearts, thank you. Oh, don't think there are any questions. Thanks, Shayna. Okay, okay. Did I get another tank top? No, but I did fix the blood on that one tank top, Megan. You're the best. So, okay, if people don't have any more questions, that was kind of long. Inviting is always a lot, right? Like, there's always a lot to inviting. It's a multiple step process. Like, just think of it as whatever time you have to work this business, how many, oh my gosh. You know why he's crying? Is because his cars are not lining up perfectly. Toddlers are fun. So just try to say, how many messages can I send? And then the next day, if you're like, oh man, I didn't really send enough invites or follow-ups, but be proud of the work you did, and then just start with that thing the next day. That's like my biggest advice for the people who are super busy and like you're doing the work and you're like, dang it, I can't check all of my boxes on my tracker. That's okay. My goal at the end of my week is that my tracker is well-rounded, that I didn't just hang out in one area and avoid the other areas, that it kind of went up and down where needed, or on those 5 days a year when I get to do all the things. So I hope this was helpful. No call on Thursday, just a reminder, but we will be seeing you because it's Summit. Lean into Summit. Make it fun, you guys. Like, pretend you're there. My team is doing like a Zoom party on Saturday. Like, just make it fun. Just any way you can. And if you need a Zoom party to come to, you're totally welcome. But that's it. So I hope you guys have a great night.